Today, we're taking a look at the Trek Roscoe 6. Now, as an overview, the Roscoe from Trek is a mid-fat hardtail, kind of an entry-level hardtail, but they go in 2019 from 6 through 8. The larger the number, the higher-end version it is. And what changes between the bikes is going to be all the components, the shock, the gears, wheels, all that kind of thing. But what we're looking at today is their new budget Roscoe 6. So this is a relatively affordable plus-size bike. Trek didn't have a 6 in 2018, now in 2019 they do. And the 6 version is going to give a little more basic parts, but give you a lot of the features that you're used to with a Trek Roscoe. So as we look at it here, you can see that this is a pretty nice looking frame with really good details as far as the welds, even smoothing out the welds on the gusset for the seat tube connection to the top tube. And overall, it's just a very nice looking bike. The features on this are, it is a front suspension bike. It is plus size compatible. It runs up to a 2.8, which is going to be the size tire that you actually get inside of the Roscoe 6. So it fits a 2.8 with plenty of room. And it's an aluminum frame. So it's really going to be a frame that is nice enough that you should be able to upgrade it as you go. So even if you start with a 6, you'll probably be a pretty happy person. Now, one of the things that comes from this model being a 6 is this SR Suntour fork. So this fork is a coil spring fork. It does have an adjustable lockout and compression. And then on the other side, it's actually going to be set up with a adjustable preload on a coil spring. Now, this is the XCM fork from SR Suntour. It does run a 32 millimeter stanchion, which is pretty good for an inexpensive bike. And the frame set is going to come with a threaded bottom bracket. Now in this case, because it is a less expensive build, it is going to be a square taper bottom bracket set up with these FSA Alpha Drive cranks. Nice crank, and the observant viewer will actually see it's got a direct mount for doing a front derailleur. So theoretically, you could actually run a front derailleur on this bike, and that's pretty neat. Now, as far as the rest of the drivetrain is concerned, you can actually see in back, this is a wide range cassette. Wide range cassette built up on a Shimano Deore derailleur. This derailleur does have a clutch, so you can turn the clutch on, making the rear derailleur a lot more quiet when you're going over the rough stuff. And then as far as tires are concerned, it's actually going to run the Havoc Tire. Now this is a wire bead tire. It is not tubeless ready, but it does have some nice looking kind of grooves and lugs to the tire, so I think it'll grip pretty well. And these are set up on a very nice looking 35 millimeter wheel. You can actually see it's 27 by 2.8 for these tires. And the wheel is called an MD35. So 35 millimeter width wheel. And that's really going to set up some of the componentry on the bike. Now, if we look at the cockpit, this is going to have a new Bontrager saddle. It's going to be set up with an aluminum seat post. Up front, we'll have an aluminum kind of house brand Bontrager bar with a blender stem. If you've seen some of the other videos, that means there's going to be mounts that can go into the stem. Nice feature for sure. And the braking, that's all being done by some Tektro mineral oil brakes. So pretty good brakes. You can actually see it's got a giant front rotor and a pretty good sized rear rotor. Now let's go ahead and flip the bike around. I'll show you some of the features on the other side. And you'll actually see here the disc brakes we were just talking about. You can actually see a little bit better the square taper bottom bracket. You can see that it's a thread-in style, it's a cartridge style. And I should have mentioned that this frame is made out of their Gold Alpha Series aluminum. So good quality aluminum. We are looking at a size 19. So that gives you an idea of just how this bike will look. Now, as far as how the wheels attach, this is going to be something to note. So the front on all of the Roscoes is actually going to be a through axle. So it's an axle that goes all the way through. On the rear, this is going to be set up with a quick release. The quick release does make it, pretty easy. It takes away some of the stiffness that a through axle would have done, but it helps allow this bike to be fairly inexpensive. Now, in the back, two things that I really like. First off, it's actually got a direct mount for a kickstand. So even though you'd think, man, it's a mountain bike, I don't want a kickstand, well, maybe you do. Maybe you're going to use this on the campground more than you are on a single track, and it'll be nice. The other thing, it's actually got rack mounts. So you've actually got mounts to put a rack on the back, really making this not only a good single track bike, but it could be a pretty good, hauler for carrying your gear, fishing bike, who knows, it would work really well. So overall, that's all of the parts and a look at this Roscoe. So this Roscoe is a size 19, and let's go ahead, put it on our scale, and we'll see exactly what this guy weighs. So we'll hook up to the bike here, lift it up, and you'll see this weighs in at just over 33 pounds, which overall is not bad for this Trek Roscoe 6.